Alka Arya, Deputy Director Land Pooling Planning, to give a brief presentation. We have changed the format of this session a little bit because the format is already there with everybody. Because looking at the interest and the keenness of the participants here, in fact, VCDDA and we all reformatted the session. After the presentation of Mr. Alka Arya, the house will be open for a question answers. So give us a patient hearing. We as organizers normally do these things for the benefit of the entire conference and the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. Thank you, Mr. Malik. It gives immense pleasure when your aims and objectives coincides with the aims and objectives of your organization. The pleasure still grows further when it couples with the aims and objectives of your country's Prime Minister. Yes, Shri Narendra Modi ji. I would like to reiterate his words spoken at Medicine Square. The development now needs to be treated as popular public movement. यानी विकास एक जन आंदोलन की तरह लिया जाए. That is what exactly Mahatma Gandhi did in 1940s when he connected the only aim of freedom to each and every individual. And now this is the call of the time that we connect development to each and every individual. That forms the essential of land pooling policy, envisaging a world-class development through public-private partnership. It will also address to the acute housing shortage of Delhi, providing housing for all through empowering people, providing them unended opportunities, doing away with the tedious and time-consuming process of land acquisition, bringing in a world-class city that every citizen of India and Delhi deserves. See, we must all admit whatever land is available for development is privately owned land, and nobody would be interested in sparing their parcel of land for a non-revenue generating activity like that of sewerage treatment plant. So let's join hands, share the responsibility. Secondly, we are in the urbanization pace. जिस जगह पर अगर हमने बाहर के देशों के साथ कॉम्पिटिटिव एज नहीं ली तो हम पिछड़ जाएंगे, बहुत पिछड़ जाएंगे. और सारी रिसोर्सेज होने के बावजूद पिछड़ जाना बहुत दुखदाई होता है, बहुत ज़्यादा दुखदाई होता है. So let's think out of the box, devise mechanism that can bring in sustainable city, at least in the capital city of the country. इसके लिए हमें कुछ धारणाओं से ऊपर उठना होगा. धारणाएं जैसे लैंड पूलिंग पॉलिसी डीडीए की बहुत रिस्ट्रिक्टिव पॉलिसी समझी जा रही है. इसके विपरीत ये पॉलिसी उन सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स की, सारी एजेंसीज की, सारी अथॉरिटीज़ की है जिन पर दिल्ली को एक बेहतर शहर बनाने का दायित्व था. दूसरी धारणा, ये लैंड पूलिंग पॉलिसी समझी जा रही है कि सिर्फ बड़े डेवलपर्स के फ़ायदों को मद्देनज़र रख के बनाई गई है. इसके विपरीत पर्सनली मैं काफ़ी कॉल्स अटेंड करती हूँ. हम लैंड पूलिंग सेल में बहुत सारे लोगों से मिलते हैं जो रजिस्टर्ड सोसाइटीज़ बनाकर आना चाहते हैं. देयर आर स्टूडेंट्स जो हाउसिंग सेक्टर में आना चाहते हैं अपनी पुश्तैनी ज़मीन पर. तो ये भी एक सेगमेंट है जिसे हम नज़रअंदाज नहीं कर सकते. और पॉलिसी की रेगुलेशंस को अगर ध्यान से पढ़ा जाए तो वह यह कहीं नहीं कहती कि 4 किसान आपस में इकट्ठे होकर लैंड पॉलिसी का पार्ट नहीं बन सकते. DDA in that process will help only as a facilitator in providing that platform. So we summarize this land pooling policy as the voluntary assembly of land, its reconstitution as per the approved plans, retaining a certain portion of land for government use, and returning back a certain percentage to the developer entity for housing sector, commercial sector, and PSP sector development. The areas, as I already told, retained with DDA would be utilized for mandatory city level facilities like that of roads, recreational, utilities, and public and semi-public facilities. As you all know, the policy have been notified on 5th of September 2013. For its smooth implementation, we have taken out regulations approved by authority. In both the policy-making decisions, we have gone to public, took your suggestions and objections, incorporated them wherever possible, and then we are going ahead with the declaration of development area and urban villages so that policy can finally be implemented onto the ground through interdepartmental coordination. Now let's assess the essential of pooling through two scenarios. First, when it materializes. The second scenario, when it doesn't materializes. When it materializes, you have affordable housing, healthy and safe environment, integrated green spaces, and a conducive market for investment. And when it doesn't materializes, the pace will be so on. The housing stock shortage will continue to grow, bringing in more slums, more squatter settlements, more unauthorized colonies, slowly percolating to an unhealthy and unhygienic living condition. So break the embarrassment and let's see where all this policy is applicable. This policy is applicable in the urbanizable areas of Delhi, that is in the zone of K1, L, N, and P2 greenfield areas. The areas which will be out from the policy permissibility would be low density residential area development, green belt, government schemes, etc. See, we were talking on the two categories. I'll not press on that again. As far as the two categories goes, the minimum requirement for land assembly is 2 hectares. A city level commercial and a city level PSP is being also taken care in the pooling policy, wherein such developments will take place along the proposed facility corridors. The major incentives given in the policy are that residential FAR has been just doubled from 200 to 400 now. The FAR for the commercial and PSP component has also been raised to 250. Ground coverage has been relaxed from 33% to 40%. So you all have more to build on. As we already told, that the declaration of development area and urban villages is on our way. The regulations for the smooth implementation of the policy comprises of two broad aspects. One is the procedure part, how the individual applications will be handled till the occupancy certificate is given. And the second aspect would be the land return criteria. Let's see what the procedure tells us all. The procedure starts with the receipt of application and then their scrutiny. To the eligible applications, land share certificate would be given irrespective of the area where the land return would be. After the designing and the planning of the land pooled area, there will be provisional development license issued to the eligible applicants. After the provisional development license stage, there is a stage of final development license, which eligible applicants have to apply for with prerequisites. Those are your bank guarantee, first installment of EDC charge, which is approximately 20% of the total charges, your guide map, layout map, explanatory note, and etc. After the final development license stage, it is now the stage for coming for the approval of layout and building plan approval, which will be done with the coordination of approving authorities like that of DUAC, Fire, Airport Authority, etc. Here we are anticipating that the approvals will be taken care in maximum 2 years time frame. For the quickening of the land pooling application processing, we are envisaging here a single window system where representatives from these agencies will be on single platform. Here, to make the entire process online, we are also floating an RFP soon to call upon the consultancy services for ICT-enabled services in doing it in a fair, transparent, and efficient manner. Now let's see the second aspect, which is the land return criteria. As Balvinder sir already said, that if in a sector 60% participation is not attained, the sector would be left from immediate implementation of the policy, and then we will devise two alternates, the direct purchase and the negotiation with the farmers, for making a threshold of 60% and then implementing the policy. The designing of the layouts would be according to the planning norms, that is giving excess of minimum 18 meters right of way to each and every individual plot. The modular concept of planning will be devised in. The allotment of plots would be fair, transparent and efficient through a draw of lots mechanism. For the areas which are mandatory for implementation of the policy, that is roads and other infrastructure facilities, we have devised a concept of TDR. So for example, if my area, land area of approximately 10,000 square meter is falling in proposed zonal development plan roads or any other facility, I will be eligible for applying for a TDR certificate which will be equivalent to 150 FAR residential component, and I will be getting a certificate, a dispensable certificate of 15,000 square meter built up area that I can sell to any of the developer entity who's developing on more than 2 hectares of land parcel. I'll reiterate, the TDR certificate of 150 FAR is dispensable or can be sold to any of the developer who is developing on more than 2 hectares of land parcel. Now let's touch upon some engineering and construction aspects. The external development charges which the applicant have to pay will revolve around 5,000 to 6,000 square meters. And the first installment, as already told, would be given at the final development license stage. The remaining 80% have to be given within 90 days time period in lump sum or in 8 equal 6 monthly installments over the period of 4 years, attracting a 12% interest per annum. Now the validity of the final development license for the smaller category, that is 2 to 20 hectares, is 8 years, and for the higher category, it's 10 years. It includes 2 years of your approval stage. So earlier the approval is, you have more time to construct on. For some unavoidable circumstances, if the project is delayed from construction, we have a renewal clause which will have 3 times renewal and 3 years each time with penalties as under. First extension will attract 5% EDC charge penalty. Second extension will attract 10%. Third extension will attract 15% of the EDC charges. Any further delay in the final development license stage or the construction stage will attract a 15% EDC charges per year. But that we, the government, DDA, end users are not hoping, not anticipating at all, because it will further delay the implementation of the policy. So let's join hands together in the efficacious implementation of the land pooling policy through public-private partnership. Thank you very much for patiently listening to the presentation.
I think this is what